Bryan Sayers, welcome back to Cali. And
Thank you.
Welcome back to, well, more importantly, welcome to the Spindustry. Yeah, I probably should have told you we were starting right now. All right, we're starting now. So, yeah, man.
It's an honor to be here.
Thanks for making this a stop on one of your many stops across the country. So I want to start with your origin story, like every good movie trilogy, or 6 movies, or 9 in the case of Star Wars. Who is Bryan Sayers? Are you named after anyone? And more importantly, how did you acquire the name Chino from Bryan Sayers?
Alright, I'd like to point out first and foremost that I'm Filipino. And the name Chino came out from having Hispanic friends and living in an Hispanic neighborhood, despite living in a town called Little Armenia. That's LA for you. But yeah, the nickname came out to be from elementary school, coming up as an Asian in LA, and then hanging out with them. That's how I got my nickname, and then it's like it just stuck around me throughout the whole entire time, and he was like, "I'm gonna take it."
That's dope.
And like, so it's like back then, I don't really take it as an insult anymore, you know. At first, it used to be. It's like, now I'm gonna learn your language too, like the come mierda, you know.
Yeah, it's an official way to acquire a street name too, you know.
Yeah.
Outside of that, I'm pretty sure that's how Fat Joe embodied his nickname, Biggie Smalls.
Yeah.
Emphasis on the Biggie, not so much the Smalls. But that means, I'm assuming you were born and raised in LA then? Your whole life?
Yep.
Were you the first one to be born and raised in LA?
Yeah. First generation.
So did anybody come out here previously in your ancestry because they were like trying to make it per se? Because a lot of people come out to LA under the guise of like, you know, it's Hollywood, it's, you know, Silicon Valley, it's Silicon Beach now. But
no, like half of my family like migrated over here. It's like, first it was like my grandparents, and then my dad, and then my uncles. And then slowly enough, as I grew up, like more of my cousins came from the Philippines. And now like, yeah, like more or less half of them came from there. And then over here.
I was just saying, cause looking back on, I don't know, I took a history class recently, and after looking back on how California came to be, I feel like we won the lottery in some ways being born here. You know what I mean? Especially being the first to be born here. Like I said, everybody's trying to move out here to like make it or be somebody. And not only were you born here, but you have a unique advantage in already being a dancer. And that's something that people try hard to come out here for, but you already seem to have that asset, and you're here too at that. Have you ever thought about like, I don't know.
I took dancing as a hobby more than anything, and then I was just able to incorporate it. I didn't really get into dancing or like think about it until I was like 7. And after that, like, my uncle took an interest into it, that I was dancing, and he's like, he put me in like, tried to teach me like samba and all of that.
Well, so you got some flavors when it comes to dancing. That's not something that you just watch YouTube or TikTok and are like, I'm gonna do that.
I mean, like, I had a little bit. And then all the other movies, Step Up, Drumline, and all those other movies. I tried to copy that as well, and it's like, try to instill that. So I was pretty much like self-taught afterwards.
Do you have any musical training associated with that? Like, do you play any instruments or anything?
My family also tried to put me into piano lessons.
Well, then music just might be in your blood in a different way. I guess more expressive than...
I mean, Filipinos tend to like music. They like to do sing. They like karaoke and all that whatnot. We're very big on karaoke, but I'm too shy to do karaoke.
Same here, man. I notice that's a big thing everywhere, to be honest. That's the one thing I really like about music is how it connects everyone from everywhere. And I saw it's cool that you bring up the karaoke thing because I saw a documentary about North Korea and South Korea and how karaoke is also a big deal out there. But I spent some time in Tampa too. And I know Ybor is a big thing for karaoke too, dog. So regardless of what your borders look like or what country you're in, I think karaoke is a universal experience or like something that brings us all together. And I think that's why it's kind of cool that music and sign spinning seem to go together too. Obviously dance is a little more universal because everybody can do it and everybody can participate in it, but sign spinning is a little more niche, I guess you could say. Do you draw any parallels between the two, and has dancing heavily influenced your sign spinning, or did you kind of keep them compartmentalized and separate?
In my 5 or so years of sign spinning, I've tried really hard to incorporate dancing into sign spinning.
In a lot of ways, I feel like they're the same thing because they're both like art in motion, like kinetic art.
But then like, compared to like the spinners that you see, and then they're not really dancing. It's like them doing the tricks. But I'm trying to like put dancing along with the tricks.
Mm. Do you consciously
like it's more like sign spinning's like involved mainly with your hands.
Mm.
But I'm trying to like move both my hands in.
So you're paying attention to footwork, huh?
Yeah.
Like simultaneously?
Yeah.
That is so much harder to do than I think most people could understand verbally, because as I was watching my round for the World Sign Spinning Championship this year, I was so critical about like my foot placement and my positioning. There was a couple times where, you know, when you have to adjust for a toss, and so instead of being where you're planted, you have to move a little bit to catch it. I wanted to avoid the little shuffle to adjust. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just looks like you're in so much more control when your steps are deliberate and they're planted. I feel comforted hearing you talk about footwork because I thought I was tripping. You know what I mean? But it's tight that you're looking at that as an aspect of sign spinning. I think that'll be something that judges look at in the future now that we brought it up.
I'm just too shy to showcase it.
Dude.
Compared to me sign spinning and then like competition wise around the corner, it's vastly different. Vastly different.
How do you feel about cameras though? Like, is that the same as like an audience, or do you feel there's a difference?
No, it's like psychologically, it's like I want to do more, but then it's like I'm not doing what flows naturally to me.
Do you have a sense of autopilot? Like when you get into a certain rhythm, your certain default tricks just seem to happen. Happens to me. So I was just wondering if it's a common phenomenon for other people. More importantly,
like I want to show off instead of doing what I can do.
Does that happen with dance too?
I don't know, because I don't normally dance in front of anyone myself. Last time I danced in front of everybody was like high school.
Oh, I've seen dance competitions, and the judging is what piqued my interest, because going back to what we were saying earlier, I find there's a lot of parallels between dancing and sign spinning. So I was wondering what aspects of their judging could be pulled into the world of sign spinning. Especially because, like I said, it's art in motion. I think by the judging scale we have right now, it's a little more sports oriented than dance oriented. Like I said, I don't know how they dance judges, but
the fluid motion when like elite sign spinners like spin. Like so, that little intro you showed us of Erica Godi.
Yeah.
Like that fast fluid motion. It's like everything just rolls like just continuously without like whatever like like, you know, like a little off fidget. It just flows naturally, like smooth, like butter.
No stops.
Yeah.
When you break it down like that, it reminds me of graffiti, where sometimes you'll see graffiti where every letter is blocked out, but then in other pieces, you'll see every letter connected by a single line. I think they're called nonstops. I think Eric's flow, when compared to graffiti, is like those nonstops. There's no breaks. You can't tell where one letter ends and the other begins. There's just a seamless transit. It's cursive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the type of font I'm talking about whenever I mention that, like, spinners spin in different fonts. Even though we all spin and execute the same tricks in some cases, you don't spell the same word the same way with the two different hands. I don't know if that makes any sense.
I mean, you can prove that with, like, what do you call those? When you set the exposure way high on the cameras. And then, like, you use, like, do those, like, little light shows. And then there's, like, those little trails.
Yeah.
If you put, like, those two ends on the signs and then just, like, did that while the camera angles in the dark.
That'd be
like, you would see the motion of, like, every sign spinning. Like, you would literally see their signature.
Yeah.
That'd be dope.
Motion trackers, too, would be tight. I think that would be the way to break into, oh, you know what? I think somebody did do motion capture before. I think that's how they got... Did you ever see that clip from Cars where that little forklift... Oh, I forgot his name. I think he's a forklift.
Mater?
Nah. He's a tiny car. He's spinning outside of like a...
Oh, the
like
Italian one.
Yeah.
I forgot his name. But I know who you're talking about.
This could be me. This could be me making stuff up, but I swear somebody was in a motion capture suit for that. And they used the data from that to animate Homeboy when he was spinning the sign. I wish I could remember that little car's name. I feel bad. I know he's not like a real person, but I'm like disrespecting, an animated car right now. Oh man.
I think it started with a P or Luigi. No. Cause it was Italian.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll come back to me. I guess he's not important. What's important is the motion capture part, though. Like I said, I think that'll be the way to break into video games, because if they got Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, it's got to be like Justin Brown's Pro Spinner. I say that because, you know, Street League, was it? Or even the X Games, they go off of points, right?
Yeah.
And whoever has the best lines, the best tricks, obviously you're awarded better points, but I think that's the case with sign spinning. I forgot where I was going with that. So I started thinking about music festivals because it's associated with the whole music and dance background here. Do you do music festivals?
Yeah.
Presently? I mean, it's kind of a silly question, but when was the last one you went to? Because I know COVID kind of threw everything off. Am I allowed to say that without getting demonetized?
I don't know.
I think I messed up.
That's why Patreon's good. I wouldn't call it a festival. I went to a venue somewhere in West Koreatown.
Kind of low key.
It was right before COVID. Our last president initiated COVID restrictions and shut down everything. Just before.
Yeah, so I was February of last year?
Yeah.
Well.
I spent a good night.
I can't remember the last one I went to. I think it was I want to say it was Alice in Wonderland's warehouse project. I could be wrong though. Could have been, it was Dream State. Dream State was the last big thing I went to. I always thought it'd be cool, for sign spinners to be there. I don't know if you've seen the Dylan Francis video for Get Low, but there's a rogue sign spinner in there too. I don't know who that is, but I was hella jealous, and it was in that moment I realized that could have been us at a festival, or at least our ticket in, you know? Man, I probably shouldn't put that in there.
I saw Domo. Ray. I saw him in MacArthur Park doing the Daft Punk video.
Oh my god.
Way before I started sign spinning.
That's ancient. Oh my god. You came after that? That's crazy.
And I saw Justin do the finger.
Finger?
Oh no, that's another story.
Oh. I know about the middle finger card. That was a weird campaign. It was like a card that was designed to flip people off, but it's a business card and you just give it to people, and it was a bizarre concept, but it was kind of cool at the same time. It would have been beneficial, and well, I guess now, you know, when people aren't social distancing, you just give them the card.
Yeah.
Alright, so we know how you discovered dance. How did you discover anime, and how much of an influence did that play in your life? Because I know more often than not, people feel some type of way with Naruto and Goku as their heroes. You know what I mean? Like, personally, I'm surprised I don't have a Goku tattoo yet.
Nah, I plan on having a crap load of anime tattoos on me, but money's tight.
Dude,
but other
right?
than that, anime's been instilled in me since birth, really. I was like watching Transformers before I realized I was watching Transformers, Pokemon. Like, the first anime that I noticed was Pokemon, and then after Pokemon it was Digimon, and after Digimon I started reading outside of television.
Do you remember what year that was? Or at least how old you were at the time that you were reading it off of television? I mean, outside of TV?
This was like after the South Park era, so.
Oh, wow. I ask because reading was massive at a time where we didn't have TVs in our pockets, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In order for me to catch Star Wars, I would just like bring the book with me. And, you know, it's what we had.
I think like my first animes was like Hellsing and Chrono Crusade, if I remember that correctly. And then like the first manga book I bought was like D and Angel, I think.
Whoa. Where at? Because I remember as a kid, those were like, it was hard to find manga.
Suncoast.
Suncoast? I'm assuming that's in your neighborhood somewhere? Somewhere in LA? I'm only familiar with the Valley, I'm sorry.
If you went to the Valley Malls, I think. But that was like in Glendale and Galleria. Yes, it was like a DVD store. But then they had manga as well, I think, if I remember correctly.
Wait a minute, Suncoast?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not like a specialty shop. That was in the mall, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, with like Sam Goody.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's way back. All right. Yeah, that's why that escapes my memory. I think that was
before Barnes and Noble, there was Borders, I think. Yeah, there you go.
I think that was before I had my own type of money to go and buy stuff like that. That's cool. I remember I found a store in Universal City Walk where they sold manga that I've never seen in regular bookstores.
Where?
This was years ago. I remember we went like on a field trip, and I might have been like in 6th grade, and it was a bookstore, and it had a bunch of...
In City Walk?
You know, it might not have been City Walk. It could have been Little Tokyo, now that I think about it.
Most possibly Little Tokyo then.
Yeah, I remember doing stuff back then, but the specifics are hard. But I do remember that was the first time I realized that, like, it's available, like, physically, because this is before we could just order it on the internet or download a copy of it, you know what I mean? I try to collect them in such a way that, like, for example, the Dragon Ball Z series, if you had them all and you put them all on your shelf, the spines of each volume produced an image. And, you know, that was, what, 6th grade? I mean, like 20 years back. I still don't have a complete set.
That was, Shenron, right? The
Yeah.
dragon. Yeah.
And most of the cast was, like, riding along his back, Dragon Balls floating around everywhere. It's pretty tight.
Am I allowed to use profanity?
Yeah.
Fuck! No.
I was thinking, I don't think it's an issue with monetization, but if it is, then I'll bleep it just in case. I don't want you to, like, censor yourself, cause then it's just not natural. Then it just sounds like we're making a concerted effort to, not be natural. And that's kind of the whole goal. Showcase what goes on back here.
Yeah, we doing this raw.
Yeah. Sin condón. So with regards to music, has Sign Spinning changed your taste in music at all, or has it stayed pretty consistent? Or did you just incorporate more stuff? Like, do you still have similar tastes from, I guess, your childhood? Because there's still, like,
my tastes expand. Like, I'm pretty much eclectic. Like, I listen to various, genres of music.
Mm.
And it's like, they always change after another. Like, I get bored of the genre, like, after a while, and, like, I'll just switch it up. Like, right now, I'm, like, listening to, like, Russian trap.
Bro.
Russian trap.
Yes. Yeah, I found Ukrainian trap recently, too. And, you know, it's so hard. I don't know how it slaps like that. What
was that one that was, like, trending out? Like Mongolian throat?
Oh, no, I don't know about that. I know about throat singing, though. And Tibetan throat singing throws me off. Like, I heard Tibetan.
But, like, this guy was, like, doing, like, metal.
Oh. That's tight. I've heard throat singing incorporated into, like, bluegrass, like Bella Fleck and the Flecktones.
Oh, shit.
But, yeah, these dudes are getting creative now, if it's in metal. I heard a sample of Tibetan throat singing in like, some EDM track. And when I heard Homegirl, like, throw down in real life, well, I guess not in real life, but outside of the track, I swear to God, I totally thought they were using effects on her vocals or something to produce that unique sound. And it turns out, like, she's producing that organically. And it's just, wow. Blew my mind. Throat singing is a hell of a talent.
Hey, if opera singers can break glass, like...
Fair enough. I mean, they have to carry that sound across mountains, though, from what I was reading. It was pretty wild. But I'm not educated enough to go into that. I was just impressed. So if you were to find, let's say, a playlist from when you were like 12 years old, would you still bump that at a red light with your windows down and everybody watching?
I think I still, yeah. In Sync. And all them Backstreet Boys and that. Britney Spears. Janet Jackson. Will Smith. Yeah.
I just saw that documentary too. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
That Britney Spears documentary?
Oh. Hey, she's free now, I heard.
Yeah, from the conservatorship, I think it was. I didn't know that was a thing. Conservatorship, yeah. Like, let's say let's say you get to an age where you can't really make decisions for yourself.
Oh yeah, and her dad was like making all the decisions and whatnot.
Yeah. I was just tripped out by her treatment, like the way they treated somebody and the expectations they had from somebody. Like, nah, you owe us these photos, you owe us the time, you owe us, I don't know, like she's giving you a whole bunch of music and a whole bunch of entertainment, and yet it still wasn't enough. And I think that her behavior even though people were calling it crazy,
I just feel like her dad was like
instigated.
siphoning off her success. And she was like, and like Brittany was like, what, trying to retire or like do something different? Or like she wasn't able to do what she wanted to do? Like, especially after all those years of success, like she might want to like tire out, like, you know, go away, retire. But then her dad's like right there, like, no, you gotta go to Vegas and all of that.
Yeah. And no privacy either.
No privacy.
Everything
no
is public. Like everything. That's so wild. I mean, I imagine in the beginning it probably helped a little bit, you know, to kind of boost record sales a little bit, get the name out there. Bad press is good press, right? What do I know though? I'm not famous. Oh man.
But Brittany.
Yeah,
Free
man.
Brittany.
I'm glad that's over with. That was sad. Yeah, like I was saying, it's just, it's sad to think that you look back on it and nobody had a problem with it. It's like I trip out that like it wasn't an issue for her to be like the butt of the joke, and now everybody's like, "Yo, dog, we should like apologize for that. That kind of sucked. Messed up." Amazing what hindsight can do.
Yeah.
So with regards to gaming, we got dance, we got science spinning. How did gaming enter your life? And how did you get to the point where you're streaming? Like what series of events led to this? Like what was your first system and how did you graduate to this?
Went from Super Nintendo to a Nintendo. And then I got traded for a PlayStation. Then the PS2. Then after the PS2 is the Xbox 360. And then from the Xbox 360 is from laptop, PC, and then from there on. And then now I have like a Switch Lite. I was supposed to give the Switch Lite to my son, but my son got the Switch instead. Wanted the Switch instead. He likes playing on the TV.
That's a big advantage.
I play mainly on my laptop.
That's an interesting progression of consoles because, now that you mentioned PCs, I realized that I'm starting to think that maybe my first console was a PC too, because far back as I know,
I mean, it wasn't my PC, it was like the family's PC, but they had like pinball. And then my cousin from the Philippines, he played like some like computer games, like Warcraft and Diablo.
Yeah, son.
StarCraft, and then I got into RTS games because of that.
Real-time strategy, right?
Yeah.
I just learned that term. Had to flex.
A lot of macro management and shit. It's fun. Makes me sweat.
Did you ever? So Command and Conquer, right?
Yeah.
That type. I think one of the first games I ever played was on Game Boy. It was Super Mario World. But I'm conflicted because I also remember playing Doom and like Wolfenstein at that time. And if that's the case, then my whole gaming career has been a lie. I did not start on Game Boy. I would have started on PC, technically. Even though PC gaming is, dude, it's nuts compared to what Doom was. Like, you can play Doom on a modern day calculator instead, you know?
Yeah.
Doesn't really require all that much. But yeah, that's why it blows my mind a little bit, because PC gaming was the alternative, I guess you could say.
Back in the day, it was like a low-key thing. I remember across the street from LACC, they had like two like computers. I don't know what you call it back then, but they had an arcade, but they had computers lined up on the back end, and there's like these kids like playing Counter-Strike.
Yo, Counter-Strike, dude! Oh my god. That's a throwback game for sure. That takes me back to like, okay, so speaking of arcades, I know you spent some time in the Valley now. Did you ever spend some time in Granada? Like at the Family Fun arcade, you know what I'm talking about? The one on Devonshire?
I did when Initial D and Midnight Run were a thing.
Yes, dude. That was so tight. Oh my god, I remember putting my card up on the machine and like waiting my turn. That was bad. Those were, man, I'm so upset that arcade disappeared, but yeah, I guess it goes with the territory, with the future, you know what I mean? Like bookstores are disappearing and now they're all online, and even gaming stores are starting to disappear. I mean, the best you can do at a gaming store is get the console first and then download everything else later.
Yeah.
Dude, that's, wow. StarCraft was the first time I ever played something online. I think that's why PCs were like the alternative thing, because I don't remember playing online games before that.
I never started playing online until Halo or Halo 2. In Halo 2, my cousin had hooked up his internet to his computer, and then he would run another like broadband cord, internet cord onto the Xbox. And then he would download a program called Xbox Connect or something, and we would connect with other Xbox players online. And then that's how how I got into Halo and like ruined my life with online gaming.
I think Halo 2 specifically was the reason why I bought an Xbox. That kind of exclusive was, I don't know, maybe it was the sci-fi part of it. I was always big on Star Wars and Star Trek, so the fact that you can go out there and start blasting aliens, that was attractive. And then you don't feel bad about it either, because it's not like they're humans.
Yeah, especially like growing up watching Starship Troopers.
Yeah, man. I don't want to sound like I'm endorsing like animal
Aliens,
violence just because I'm like, oh, they're not humans. You know what I mean? But like, yo, it's us or them.
Hey, but if aliens are friendly, we love you.
Yeah, be tight.
Don't hurt us.
I just hope they don't look at us like a inconvenient anthill. Well, describe your life with cats.
I'm allergic to cats.
Whoa, what? Okay, dude, that changes a lot right now.
But I love cats.
Wow. Yo, that's...
I can pet them as much as I want, but as soon as I dig my face into a cat, like an hour or 30 minutes later, I'll just nasal congestion, like mucus just flows out from my nose, and I'll sneeze like more than like 5 or 6 times.
That might be a normal response, to be honest, because...
Really?
Yeah, there's something in feline spit. It's an enzyme that humans are just like naturally allergic to. And so that's what we're really reacting to when we have a reaction with cats. Yeah, keep in mind, they're always cleaning themselves with that same spit. So if you're putting your face in the cat, like, you know what I'm saying?
I just love my cats.
Yeah, dude, you don't even need to say it if you're doing it. Like, actions speak louder than words. You got an allergy and you're still going like ears deep into a cat's.
I love ice cream and I'm like lactose intolerant.
That's all of us. Yeah. I think there's a certain age for that too. Like,
really?
Yeah, cause.
Yeah, I mean, it does get worse with age. Like after now, like I can barely like have like a pint of ice cream. Like I usually like take quarts and stuff.
Yeah, I make plans for it now. You know what I mean? Like, am I going to work tomorrow morning? Nah, schedule's clear. I can eat some ice cream. I know it sounds really bad, but I mean, let's face it. It's not like we're getting drunk and then, hung over the next morning. This is ice cream we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? That's why I trip out on people that get drunk on purpose. You know what I mean? Like, you were purposely getting messed up and like...
I mean, I can't have ice cream before I go to sleep and then wake up in the morning and then like go to a shift because then like I have to like...
Yeah, it's pretty, I understand.
Look for the restroom and then like take my time going to the restroom. Sign spinning.
Wasn't like that when we were kids, huh?
No, just back then just eat ice cream, not without a habit or care. Now I have to like, am I good?
How old are you?
Am I clear? Turning 30 in next month.
Okay. Alright, yeah. I don't feel so bad now. I'm just making sure it didn't happen to me like early or late or something. I don't know. I just want to make sure we're on the same page here and we're all aging according to plan.
Yeah, I feel like that.
I know people that are allergic to avocados and they still eat avocados despite the rashy sensation in their mouth and throat thereafter.
Really?
I used to think that was love. You know what I mean? After hearing your cat story, man. Yeah, I got a new perspective on what love is. Speaking of love, all right, so when gaming entered your life, when cats entered your life, when did fatherhood enter your life? And how has that changed I like to call it the great balance, because I know you got to balance family time, you got to balance work, you got to balance just taking care of yourself. You know what I mean? Because
I got to see my kid after this. Like, before my kid, I didn't have like a care in the world in the future. I was living in the moment. I didn't care what tomorrow was. Now it's like, I got a plan for this. What he's gonna do at 7. He's lacking in his reading. I gotta teach him reading. I gotta read him more books. Like, I didn't grow up with a father early, so it's like, I gotta do everything step by step, see how it goes. If I'm able to plan ahead, like, ask other people who are dads, like, yeah, I'd ask them. Responsibilities being a father stacks up pretty high. Especially in these trying times. Whew. It puts you in a place, especially in this tax bracket, you know? But you gotta keep on chugging, gotta keep on working.
everybody talks about how life-changing it is and how much of a shift in everything it is. And it's a concept I've always been fascinated by, because I suppose it's one of those things where you have to try it to experience it, or to understand it. You know what I mean? I hate to compare it to to drinking or something, but most people, when you ask, what's that like? It's like, well, dude, I can't explain it. You just gotta try it. Experience it for yourself to understand it. That's pretty wild. I ask because, one of the things that's been freaking me out, I'm not trying to freak you out or nothing, right?
Yeah, no worries.
It's just like a thing of my own. I've been reading that, are you familiar with the doomsday clock or the climate clock?
Vaguely.
The climate clock.
I remember reading about it in an article and shifted it in the back of my mind because it was considered conspiracy.
It's definitely a buzzword.
Like the Mayan calendar and all that shit. Okay.
It's a little different from that one. Although that's trippy, don't get me wrong. I do find it fascinating.
Y2K and all that shit, I was like, after all that nonsense, I was like, okay, I can just throw this in the trash.
After Y2K, I wasn't really worried about 2012 either. But this one's a little more... I'll give credit to the Mayan calendar for even making the calendar to begin with, right? To know how long it takes to orbit a sun and then keep track of seasons and cycles like the solstice and the equinoxes. Yeah, it's pretty gnarly.
Super rocks gnarly. And trees.
Yeah. I don't think we give them enough credit, man, because
they had no lenses. They didn't know what glass was.
Additionally, I heard that part of the reason why they were obsessed with the stars is not just for timekeeping purposes, but for traveling. Because if you know how much of a shift occurs above you while you're traveling, and you know how much time has passed, you know how far you've gone. So I'm thinking that part of the reason why they're obsessed with the sky is because they were also traveling a bit, not just keeping track of time. But I guess what I was getting at is, even though it's amazing that they were able to do that, I don't think 2012, or at least their prediction for the end of things, was accurate, especially because it was just like the end of a cycle. It wasn't really marked by any type of event. But the whole climate clock thing, that one's based on how much time we got left before climate change is irreparable. Like, you can't, like, the point of no return.
Like global warming and all that?
Yeah, I think it's like 7 years where we'll start seeing...
I believed in Al Gore all along.
Man, I wouldn't even put the word belief on it. I would just say I acknowledge the evidence. You know what I mean? The reason for that is once we start seeing dramatic shifts in climate, we start to see shortages in food, and shortages in food leads to conflicts, and then those conflicts snowball, and eventually people get displaced because of rising sea levels, and then population densities also mess with everything. Population density also influences how fast diseases and viruses get passed around and everything, so that also is another, it adds to the variables that could end humanity as we know it. So I guess what I'm getting at is that whole thing freaked me out, because that means if that's true, if I have a kid now, in 7 years, that dude's gonna have to grow up yesterday.
Look, I thought we were gonna have a world war when Trump was in office, and then, like, I had my kid, and then it was like, Trump's gonna be president. I was like,
yeah, totally. Like I said, I wasn't trying to freak you out, but those are just my reservations behind it. But at the same time, what if you give birth to, like, the person that's gonna solve it all, the one that brings balance to the force, so to say? You know? Yeah, we all saw how badly that went, though. Maybe not.
oh, that touched me there, that movie.
Yeah, those first ones, man, there wasn't even like, I felt like they took the whole war out of Star Wars. Like the first one, you just became like a sick ass Natalie Portman romance movie. You know what I mean? Like, what politics? There's a war? These two are trying to hook up. But, yeah, man, I see you with the penny board. Is that like purely a method of transportation, or do you science spin with that too?
I mean, I'll try to science spin with it, but like,
I guess I should ask if you like, you know, could kickflip and stuff. Like, you skate traditionally too?
I just do it purely for transport. I mean, I tried to, but no.
I just figure how you do one thing is how you can do a lot of other things. So I figure if you can do all that with the sign, you know, I was just making assumptions. Do you like snowboard or surf either? I mean, you live in California. I don't surf, but I figure I should ask because people surprise me.
I always wanted to surf, but I snowboarded before, and that was fun.
How'd you feel? Like, was it natural? Or was it kind of like, ugh?
Like, once you skated downhill, it kind of feels the same concept.
Except you don't get speed wobbles on a snowboard.
No, you don't.
Doesn't it trip you out, like, how fast you can go down a hill, though? Like, just bomb with no brakes or no... I don't know.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it's an interesting sensation.
I like going fast.
Man, that's why... Oh, man. Alright, we should experiment with surfing later. Can you swim?
Yeah.
Like, good? I can get from one end of the pool and back, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know if I can, like, stay out there and wait for a wave. Or a shark. I saw a jellyfish one time when I was in Florida.
I don't know. I went snorkeling in Florida.
How was that? What time of the year did you go? Because I'm not sure if there's bioluminescent plankton out there. It's not COVID, I swear. I'm not sure. I just forgot my water bottle over there. And, like, I'm locked in now. I don't want to go get it.
I'm just going to drag this microphone further. No, I went... Wow. 2-3 years ago? This was, like, before North Carolina. And then it was, like, my second time coming back to Florida, because the first time I was in Naples. And then the second time I was in Fort Lauderdale. And that's where, like, Max's second home was.
Mm.
And then Max was there. He was like, hey, you guys want to go snorkeling? And I'm like, yeah.
Oh, that's tight.
Because George Hakkasan was there. So I went along with them. And Max's wife. Damn, her name escapes me all the fucking time. I'm sorry. But we had a fun time there. Got to see a stingray, a couple of fishes. So if I were to, like, be able to swim, yeah, I guess.
I saw a jellyfish one time in Florida when I was disc golfing. Cause there's a course like right on the beach.
Really?
Yeah. And I threw my disc a little too far to the right, out of bounds and into the water. It was only like knee high, but that was the first time I realized that beach water, like not all beach water looks like LA water. You know what I mean? Like I was in there knee deep and I could still see the sand that I was walking on. That being said, it was real easy to spot my disc in the water. But in that moment, I also saw this little tiny jellyfish like swim right by my leg. And it didn't, I didn't think of the danger or anything behind that. Or I don't even know if it's really dangerous. I just heard that it stings and it hurts and it's inconvenient.
You got to pee on it.
Is that true? I heard that was a myth too.
No, I heard it works, right?
I mean, I wasn't about to find out. But yeah, that was dope, man. Traveling really opened my eyes to the fact that LA's got a hygiene problem. Because even the gutters out there in Florida were clean. Like out here, you see like Dorito wrappers and Gatorade bottles. It's tragic.
Florida has a crap ton of cigarettes. Florida smokes.
Yeah. When was the first time you went? Like, how long ago was that? Did you hit North Carolina first? Did you hit Florida first?
I hit Florida first.
Is there how much of a culture shock was it? Like, were people looking at you like you had the accent?
For Florida? I was in Naples, and I heard Naples was like retirement city.
Oh. Yeah.
But either way, like, people were shocked. People were a lot more responsive compared to California. Like in Cali, it's like, I think people like seen us here already.
Yeah. It's always cool to go somewhere new, because that's it's a new audience, they've never seen it before.
Yeah, it's fresh.
Yeah.
It's like going on tour or something.
Yeah. Dude, that's my favorite thing about this industry is when you wake up in another city, it's kind of like being a rapper or an athlete. Although, we're still flying on regular airplanes and not private jets full of other spinners, but it's, pretty tight nonetheless.
Yeah.
Which do you prefer? Do you prefer North Carolina or do you prefer Florida? Because I know there's a huge difference in weather, and like one of them's actually.
Florida is humid all the time, but then you get used to it like after 2 months or so.
I was gonna say they're both kind of health hazards because in one of them you can get frostbitten, and the other one like you can get struck by lightning.
I love the lightning in Florida.
That was eye-opening.
Like as a gamer, North Carolina had more consistent internet service compared to Florida. Florida sometimes it would go out, or sometimes it would be laggy because of the storm.
Sometimes it's even just the people. I mean, no offense to Florida, but like one time our power went out and it wasn't even the weather. Like someone crashed into a telephone pole or like a power pole right there, and it knocked out our power. So yeah, man, if you're trying to live stream, I imagine that'd be a nightmare, whether it's weather or people. Did you find AArrow first, or did AArrow find you? Like, how did you come across this job? Like, was it your first job, second job, supplemental?
I've been referred to this job like a couple of times before I actually accepted it. Before AArrow, I was working at a car wash down in Hollywood.
Mm. Was that car wash your first gig?
As a legitimate job? I think so. Because then before that, I was working as a club promoter. But we never really got paid.
Oh. Not even in entries?
Like, we get free entry. But other than that, it was like, it was fun. That's all I had to say.
Huh. I guess the reason why I ask is because sometimes, at least I find that if somebody's had a job before this, they tend to appreciate this one a little bit more
Oh yeah.
because of not just the flexibility, but just the nature of the work itself. Like,
I love it.
yeah.
There's no boss behind me on my back. I'm not stuck inside a room. I'm spinning in different places, so it's like I'm not in the same place the whole entire time.
It doesn't get stale, that's for sure.
It does not. Just the freedom of being able to spin there. It's relaxing, kind of.
No, it kind of is. It's a form of escapism, really, especially when you get in the zone. It's when you're so focused on what you're doing in the moment, it really does become meditative and almost therapeutic in some ways. It's pretty trippy how many people spin signs outside of work. Like, they're not even on the job. They're just home practicing and refining a craft. I know it definitely takes a type of person to do this, because I've found that if you're too shy, it doesn't matter how much talent you have. I've seen people who do really, really well when they're trained one-on-one, and then when you bring them out to the corner to showcase what they learned, they just like, maybe this isn't for me.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any qualities or characteristics that would help somebody identify that this is the job for them? Or like, yo, I would totally fit this group of people, or this is for me.
If you want to be a content creator, you can't be shy. Especially me, I'm shy, but I feel like I can bring out more talent if I wasn't so goddamn shy.
That's something else that fascinates me too, man. So many people here come in shy, and some of them are even like introverts.
AArrow changed my life. It changed my life for the better. Like, I'm still a gamer, weeb geek at heart, but I'm a confident weeb gamer geek.
Somehow, some way we attract that. I don't know what it is, but
I'm able to talk to people more, more approachable. I can hold a conversation.
You definitely leave here with a different skill set, that's for sure.
I have a massive tan.
How does it...
I used to be really pale.
How does it treat you physically, though? Because
physically,
I can't do more than like 3 hours before I start to feel... I mean, again, I feel like that goes back to the ice cream thing and age. But at the same time, I know that the more veteran spinners know how to pace themselves in such a way where like it looks like they're killing it without killing themselves. But at the end of the day, like, we still got to recover and stretch. I've been doing yoga and trying to just do more strength-based exercises to prevent injury. So I was wondering how you cope with, day to day.
For a 5-hour shift, it's like the first half, for like the first hour, you just, light spins, being light, just moving around all your muscles. And like once you, like an hour, and then you get into the flow of it, you feel nice and lukewarm. That's when you start hitting it.
When you start hitting it, do you feel like your flow is influenced by whatever happens? Like, wherever my hand lands, wherever I catch, I'm going to go with what I know could be executed from this position? Or do you have set routines, like set verses?
It's a routine that evolves or changes every day. It's like I don't have a structure, but then my body remembers the movements, the flows, the errors, the catches. It remembers it all, and I don't know it, but I can feel it. And then one day, like now, like 5 years in, it's like, what can I do now? How can I change this up? Where can this go if I do this? Where can it go if I do that?
Have you ever thought about it? Like, all right, so before competition, sometimes I'll run certain combos in my head because I think there's an opportunity to do something else somewhere in that routine. do you ever take a step back and analyze your routines in the same way where it's like, I know my hand position is here and I know the sign's there. I think there's another direction I can go in, or another line that I can take, or another transition I can throw in. I remember you mentioning something about flow. So I feel like your style might, how to put it, I feel like you might be influenced by transitions and things of that nature. Like, how could I get from point A to point B more smoothly or more efficiently without having that stop?
Like, the people I look up to sign spinning would be Eric, Brody, Tyler, and then there's Kendrick. All three of them have like this flow, and it's just nonstop.
I see the parallels that you're drawing between them.
Jose Angeles and Eric Macias.
1
year, 8th place.
Yeah. There's definitely a type of finesse that Eric, Tyler, and Kendrick have that is noticeably different from the type of, I guess, bangers and power moves that...
Eric, I'm sorry if I said your last name wrong. I'm sorry. I keep mispronouncing it.
You know, what are you gonna do? I guess he can come on and say, oh yeah, and then that one guy, Bryan, say yes. He said, I really don't want to cut this here, but we're approaching an hour, and
oh man,
yeah, I definitely don't want to have this cut off mid-sentence in a juicy spot. So before we wrap up, do you want to maybe plug your gamer tag or your Twitch handle?
twitch.tv/fatherlysenpai. Catch me up on nights, more likely 8 p.m. Pacific. I play a various amounts of games, trying to get a gaming schedule on as I'm new to streaming, but if you somehow want to catch me and watch, I'm also free to join. I'm pretty friendly until I start raging.
Yeah, Halo 2 was the first time I was introduced to that kind of trash talking, man, because it wasn't there in StarCraft. Wow.
Oh, man.
Well, I would love to hear how you got the gamer tag Fatherly Senpai, but I also think that would be a great way to open episode 2.
All the names before it had sexual innuendos, like Tube Sock Surprise.
Oh man. It was all bad. And you got a job with that email? I see some pretty raunchy emails back in my day, but
cringy emails. You know what's the most cringiest email I had was Bionicle fan, and I didn't even spell Bionicle correctly either. I missed the I and C.
Oh, dude, you missed 2 letters. So you're just Bile Man. Alright, well, I guess we'll catch up with Bile Man on the next episode. It's been real. Thanks for coming by.
It was a pleasure.
Especially in, the current set of circumstances. So, bye everybody.
I'm out!